Welcome back to Takacs McGinnis Elder Care Law Hour. I'm Tim Takacs, and in today's episode, we're talking about spring cleaning.
And I'm Barbara McGinnis. In this particular segment, we're going to be talking about your finances. What do you need to keep? What can be tossed out? And what happens if you've inherited years worth of documents from your parents or grandparents and you're trying to figure out what's important? Well, with us to help discuss that and flesh that out a little bit is Chad Richards. He's a financial advisor with Waddell and Reed. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Chad.
Thank you, Barbara.
So some of our clients, especially our older clients, are indeed very paper driven. And what do you do with all those? What do you need to keep?
Mounds of paper sometimes.
Mounds of paper.
Yeah.
So without seeing the particular document, sometimes it can be hard to answer that question, but definitely you want to keep any stock and bond certificates you come across.
Oh yeah.
Legal documents, insurance contracts that are still in force for sure, and particularly any information that might help you determine cost basis for assets that were purchased a long time ago, such as annual statements.
Okay, so why is cost basis important?
Well, when you go to sell an asset some point in the future, you're going to have to pay taxes on any gain.
Right. So if you bought stock 25 years ago for $100 and it's now worth $1,000, that's a $900 capital gain, right?
That's right.
And so you need to know that it was $100, right?
Otherwise, you're paying tax on the whole $1,000.
$1,000. Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
But there's ways of determining basis. So if people can't find those original documents, they don't have to figure it. You can
recreate it. Yeah.
Right. But let's make it easy on everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
So what about people who are tech savvy? All right. Can you be paperless on this?
Absolutely. A lot of our clients, in fact, are kind of insisting on that these days. And most financial institutions do offer, online access to your accounts. They offer e-delivery of your statements or enrollment and e-delivery anyway. And it's usually pretty secure because those emails that you receive, they don't have your statement attached to them, they don't have your full account number, so it's relatively safe to get those emails. Now, as far as logging into the website and accessing those documents that are online, there's minimum standards financial institutions have to have for security aimed to protect your information. But as we know, from watching the news, it's hard to say that any website's completely safe.
Right. And so one of the worries, in addition to identity theft, would be how a breach of that could impact your credit, right? How do you go about checking your credit scores? Is that important? And does checking your credit scores actually reduce your credit score?
That's a good question. We get that from time to time. And checking your credit is really easy. According to the FTC, there's one authorized website to go get a free credit report, and that's annualcreditreport.com. And so if you go to that website, you can check your credit for free. And when you're there, if you see any problems with your credit, then those three major credit reporting bureaus or companies, they're required by law to help you fix inaccuracies on your credit.
So there's a process a free process for cleaning up a faulty or a bad credit score.
Exactly. And by checking your credit on that website, annualcreditreport.com, that's considered a soft inquiry, so it doesn't affect your score at all. Now, hard inquiries such as applying for a credit card, a loan, anything where a company is making a lending decision, that can impact your credit score.
Yep. So, what about when you're taking over the financial affairs of a loved one? How do you find out about credit cards, where they are, bills, anything?
Sure.
How do you go about start being that private investigator?
Where do you start?
Hopefully they've, I think I heard you mention earlier, they should have a checklist, right, of where everything is. So
Well,
hopefully they have that. If not, checking that credit report and really just watching the mailbox is a good way to discover everything that they have. And of course, going through that filing system.
I know Barbara mentioned, like if there's a local bank that you think your parents have always done business with, take the POA, durable power of attorney over there perhaps, and assuming there is one.
Yeah. What's here?
What's here? Exactly.
Get a copy of those bank statements. You can see the inflows and outflows, and that can give you an idea of where they might have accounts or credit cards.
That's kind of what about like tax returns? Are those easily available? Can you get those, or do you know?
I don't know. I think there's a CPA coming on later. You can ask him about that.
I think we're going to do that. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
That's a good segue there.
Yeah. Well, do you have recommendations, filing tip recommendations?
You know, I think everyone has their own system of how they like to file and keep track of their financial information. So whatever method works best for you, whether it be the old paper filing system or scanning and storing that on an external drive, which is how we recommend that you store all of your documents on an external drive.
Okay, so like a little USB drive or a thumb drive or something like that.
Exactly.
Something that you can carry with you, I guess. Is that the idea?
Exactly, and because it's not connected to the internet, so it adds an extra layer of protection to those sensitive documents.
Okay, that's the real deal then is.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And the security of your computer really depends on a lot of factors, your security system and software. And,
right.
That's not my cup of tea, but you get the drift. And so if it's on an external drive not connected to your computer, then those documents should be pretty secure once they're there.
Right. So what about, you mentioned like having a checklist, document checklist. What kind of checklist should people have? And what should be on the checklist?
Yeah, good question. Checklist is really important for your executor and also, your power of attorney if you become incapacitated. So, first of all, it's very important you have one. Right. Second of all, that list can be pretty lengthy and really is. The list that we provide our clients has dozens and dozens of items on it.
Okay, there was a little nugget there. Can any of our viewers get a checklist from your company?
Sure, if they want to go to my website and just send us an email.
Right, and we'll have that. We'll have your contact information up shortly. So.
Yeah, thank you. We'll be happy to send that out to anyone. I'll just send them an email.
So tell us a little bit more about what the essential things are going to be on the
essential things are going to be location of your estate documents, wills, burial arrangements, funeral specifications, list of all your accounts, liabilities like credit cards and loans that you have, list of all your income sources, list of your medical professionals, your financial professionals, so they can reach out to those people for information, list of all the property you own. Those would be some of the things that would be important to have on there.
Right.
Our clients, we actually help our clients be fairly organized. Now you can lead a horse to water, right? But so we give them some tools, the binder, an organization system in the binder. We've got one of those checklists for my important papers as well.
Because name and location and date.
Right.
Sure.
Including a list for pins and passwords, because that's one of my biggest fears. It's like, I know where we bank, but I don't know all the pins and passwords and things. Right. For my husband or someone else that I might be taking care of. Right.
That's definitely should be on that list. Is online access, user ID, passwords, those credentials to be able to get in to those items.
Because every bank's not even a brick and mortar bank anymore.
Right.
And so knowing how to find money.
I can't remember the last time I went into my bank.
Oh, they'll be so disappointed.
That's interesting you mentioned that because, that's I'm the same way. The only reason why I go in there is probably, I don't remember what I'm thinking about that. But I was thinking about like having the document checklist and how that. I remember years ago a woman that came in and her husband was a CPA and I was helping her doing her husband's probate. Well, she brought in a whole list of it was in his own handwriting because it was in the pencil and whatever it is, but it didn't have his name and it did not have a date. And so we kind of knew that was a clue. Right. But that document could have been prepared 10 years before he died, or it could have been prepared the week before he died.
Sure.
So don't assume that when you write out a document that everybody's going to know what it is.
Right.
All right. So we're going to put your contact information up. Okay. All right. Chad Richards with Waddell and Reed. ChadRichards.wradvisors.com. Thank you, Chad.
Thank you,
for sharing your information.
You having me.
Having just wrapped up tax season, what do you do with all your tax papers and how do you do backups? So stay with us for our next segment. We will be talking with the CPA.